Welcome to Pelletech 101. Today I have a Harman stove and I'm going to show you how we replace the igniter element. Super simple. First we want to make sure that we have the right tools. So I've got a 5/16 inch nut driver. I have a pliers. I have a socket and a ratchet, 5/16 socket. I have a wire cutters. We have our replacement igniter element. And I have 2 zip ties. So first thing that we're going to do, we're going to pull out our ash pan. Once we pull the ash pan out, we're going to be able to really access this area of the fire pot where the igniter is mounted. So I just have 2 small wing nuts. I'm going to loosen those up. No need to take them all the way out. This is our access cover that just comes right up and off. From here we've exposed the area where the igniter and the cradle sits. Now the igniter is secured in the fire pot by these 2 5/16 inch bolts. We're going to go ahead and remove those. So I'm just going to loosen these up. I should be able to remove them then with my fingers. These are really tight for you. Never hurts to soak them down with a little bit of WD-40 before you start cranking away. So we got both of those loosened up. I'm going to completely pull those bolts out by hand. There's one. And there's the second one. All right, so our igniter now is loose in here. What we're going to do is I'm going to shift this all the way to my right, and that drops the left side out. And my igniter is going to come and it's going to hang just about here. So next what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to snip our wires from the back so that we can pull this all the way through from the front, disconnect, connect our new one. So we're going to flip this around. We have a few different side panels here depending on your Harman model. Most of them are very similar. These 2 initial side panels right here we've already removed. We just loosened the 2 5/16 bolts here. These slide right off to the side. Next we want to move this rear and this upper rear. So I'm just going to grab my 5/16 inch nut driver. Again, same with these, we just loosen them up. We don't have to pull them all the way out. Just like that. So I'm just going to lift this up and off. There's that one. All right. So now that the panels are off, we really expose everything that's going on in the back of the stove. We can see all of our componentry. Now, with Harman stoves, all Harman models, all years, they will use a blue and yellow wire right here for our igniter. Now, newer models, the igniter plug is located right beneath the auger feed system. And this is a compressed plug in here. As you can see, our wires can slide in and out. Earlier models will have a plug mounted just to the right of the auger feed system. And with those, a lot of times you'll have a little bit of red silicone that'll have to be taken off so you can pull that plug out to allow the slack in the wires. You want to make sure if you have an earlier one with the silicone plug, that once it's back in, you do re-silicone that up. So what I'm going to do is I just want to create some slack so I can pull that igniter out from the front. So I'm just going to snip that wire tie, loosen these up a little bit. And again, as you can see, I now have slack. So I'm going to turn the stove back around. Now what we're going to be able to do is we're going to actually be able to pull out the connections right on the front side. So I'm going to simply disconnect yellow, blue, and our old igniter is out of the unit. So most people can reuse their existing cradle cage that the igniter sits in. Over time it may need to be replaced. We do offer replacements for those as well. For right now we just want to replace the igniter element. So I'm going to grab my pliers. These 2 little ears right here have to be twisted straight to allow that cover to come off. Give it a little wiggle, comes right off there, and the igniter pulls right out. Now I want to pay close attention to the way that the igniter came out of here, make sure that I'm putting in the replacement the same way. So the new igniter is going to snap right in. You want to make sure that it gets flush all the way down in that cradle, all the way around here. Now that the igniter is secured, I'm going to go ahead and put on that bracket again. Again, that just kind of wraps around our wires. Goes on those little tabs that we twisted. And once I have it all the way on there, I know it's secure. It's all the way down flush here. I'll go ahead and I'll twist those ears just to the right a little bit so the cover holds in place. Just like that, everything is secure. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to attach the wires. Now, again, we have a blue and a yellow wire. It does not matter which wire connects to which. I can connect either of my igniter wires to either. We're just creating continuity here. So I'm just going to plug those in. Make sure it's nice and snug. Just like that. Everything's in there good. I'm going to reach in the back and I'm going to start pulling this slack. Just like that. So the connectors will actually go through this air intake area here. So I've got all the slack pulled back. Now we want to insert the right side of the igniter first. And then the left goes in. From here we're going to put our 2 bolts back in the top to hold that in. I like to put my fingers right on the top of the igniter. I can kind of hold it right in place on the back side of that burn pot. That seems to work out really well. You want to get down fairly low so you can line up those threads. There they are. And I'm just going to start to tighten those by hand. Grab my second one. Just like that. Snug them down with my fingers. Grab my socket and my ratchet. No need to crank them down, we just want to make sure they're snug. Oops. Just like that. Just like that. Again, we've got our igniter access cover. I'm going to go ahead and slide that back on. Just going to hand tighten down these little wing nuts right here. Again, just nice and snug. No reason to over crank them. We're going to go ahead and turn this back around one more time. Now that we have all the slack pulled back through, we have some wires hanging right here, and we don't want these to obstruct any of the components with the stove. So I'm going to grab my wire tie, and I'm just going to coil these up. Doesn't have to be fancy, we just want to make sure that it's not in the way of anything else going on back here on the stove. Just like that, snip off the excess. And if I wanted to, I could probably put one more wire tie and make this look a little bit neater right there. But as long as this isn't able to obscure anything, we're fine. So, now that we've got the wires clipped back up, we basically just want to put back on our side panels. So I like to put this bottom one in first. And this little cutout right here goes right over the exhaust. It's a lot easier to put this one on first and then the top back than it is vice versa. So, I'm just going to put that on like so. We're going to leave that loose for right now. We've got 2 little notches right here in the rear panel. Just like that. Up and on and down. Grab my 5/16 nut driver. I'm just going to snug all those up. All right, and we'll end up putting back our two rear panels here, and we're all set. And that is how you replace the igniter element in a Harman pellet stove. Pretty much all Harman pellet stoves have the same type of burn pot, same type of system there. Again, the only difference that you're really going to notice is year to year, the little plug in the back may have a little silicone on it. If that's the case, you're going to need to snip that off and make sure that you re-silicone it once you pull that slack of those wires back through. Other than that, always want to make sure that you keep a clean burn pot. Periodically inspect the holes in the burn pot, make sure those aren't plugged. And I recommend about every ton of pellets to remove the igniter access cover right here and to make sure that you're cleaning out any fines or any ash that can collect down in this area. Again, it's not the igniter that's lighting the fire, it's the hot air that's rushing past the igniter that's allowing your fuel to light. So if this is packed with ash, or if these holes are clogged, it may cause a problem with ignition. So it's important to check everything else first before you decide that you need a new igniter element. But when you do, this is how you install it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in another session of Tech 101.